There is a fifth dimension.
A dimension of sound.
Damn it, Frank! We tell him to be quiet. I spilled my hot cup of Uranus again.
A dimension of sight.
Hey, Arch. I'm gonna sock you in the puss.
A dimension of mind.
Man Adams, is that you?
Next stop, the Twilight Zone.
You just bring a potato with you. You can just record that one.
Oh, 100%, because you know it would survive the trip. Holy shit.
Right.
I put a bald cap on and a clown mask and stuff and did videos.
No,
so
you have to do
I
it like
this-
the Northman guy. You know what's batshit crazy and good times? Another episode of the Fifth Dimension of Twilight Zone podcast, where three friends, with varying degrees of Twilight Zone knowledge, talk about Twilight. Yes.
Talk about Twilight.
Woo!
Yeah. Talk about Twilight. Sparkle,
Team
sparkle.
Jacob or Team Edward?
Neither.
What about Team Werewolf guy? Not werewolf. Yeah, with Team Werewolf
Jacob.
guy.
I'm biased.
Or
That's fair.
Team Werewolf guy that hits on people kids that aren't even born yet.
They all sparkle.
I read
Right.
those books.
I did too.
Why?
And that teenage or that young adult romance novel has more sensuality than all the 50 Shades movies put together.
Which is
And
funny
yet
because the
the-
50 Shades books, which I have not read, are started as Twilight fan fiction.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
And
okay.
they despite all the sexual innuendo, they suck. There's no hot there. It's
True.
just boring.
And yeah, Triv was there opening day for the first, second, and
No,
third.
I got
50 Shades
dragged to
movies.
all of
I was for
them
the
by a
first
friend
one.
of mine.
Not
Triv,
me,
Triv
my
got
wife.
dragged.
No,
She got
I
jagged.
literally
dragged.
didn't. Like
I
I
had to
was
go-
hoping it would be all sexy and stuff, but it wasn't sexy. The book
Okay,
or
so-
the movie.
I, for some reason, my wife was a fan and
My
wanted to go see
wife.
it. She, not just me, she drugged me, whatever. It's cool. I'll go to the movies to watch anything, just about. But she also invited her mother,
Oh God.
her father, her sister, and I think her husband. I don't know. I know her sister was there. It's like all these women and me and my father-in-law. That was, somewhat uncomfortable.
How much beer was drinking?
In the theater, none. I didn't get laid that night, so that helped.
Well, that's good. At least someone had
Yeah.
some fun out of that damn
Yeah.
movie.
So I mean, I was kind of like, well, you want to go see the sequel?
You guys were watching that. I was
It
watching
was not good.
Human Centipede.
Human
Mm.
Centipede Part 2. Yeah, not full.
Is that the black and white one?
Yeah,
One of them black and
the
white.
one with the security guard.
Yeah.
That was the second movie that my wife and I watched together.
Nice. Was the
While
was
we
the
were
first
dating.
movie Sallow?
No,
Was the first movie
Melancholia.
Serbian movie?
Melancholia was the first movie we watched.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But anyway, we should probably jump into the La Eficina or Episodia or whatever the hell.
The Pink Flamingos episode.
The Pink Flamingos episode.
We've been talking about the episode, Triv. Where have you been?
Not here apparently.
You've been so quiet. It's all we've been talking about is the episode You Drive, season 5, episode 14,
We had
directed by John Brahm.
Alex on just for that while she was driving.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. That was the
Good
whole
times.
episode. It's an episode that's written by Earl Hamner Jr. It's a
Very
production
on
code of
Earl
2625.
Hamner type episode though.
It's his
So
second episode in a row. His
Yeah.
85th episode of the series. He wrote it and it came out January 3rd, 1964, the last year of the Twilight Zone, the original series. Stars Edward Andrews, Helen Westcott, Kevin Hagen, and Toddy Ames. Okay, You Drive, or the story of how Christine originally became a car movie, whatever.
I was wondering,
Um,
is Christine inspired by this at all?
Christine was based off of the thing about machines.
Yeah, no, I was
That's
joking.
right,
No, this
that's
is probably
right.
more of like Herbie. This is like Herbie's cousin.
Herbie?
Herbie's
Murder?
Herbie's crime cousin.
Manslaughter?
Herbie's manslaughter cousin. Oh man. You Drive, not an episode I remember, though I could see the ending coming a mile away, because it was hit by the ending. It's a movie, it's an episode.
See what you
Right.
did there.
Yeah, it's an episode that Nan Adams appears finally again. I mean,
She's back,
it's been a
bitches.
while. Yeah, she's back from existence.
She's a man now. Dan Adams.
Yeah. Dan Adams. She's a man, and she's angry about Pete, and she's or he's hitting boys on bicycles and stuff like that. So opening narration, Jacob, happens at the very beginning of the episode.
Does
in
it?
2 parts.
Does it?
It literally
Okay.
happens like 10 seconds after the episode starts.
Oh,
yeah,
that
it
way.
is. It's a
Or not even 10
two-parter.
seconds. Like, yeah, it like goes like it shows Oliver driving. It's like, here's a man, a portrait. His name's Oliver, and he's angry.
Portrait of a man.
He- but yeah, this is the opening narration because people complain we don't do the opening narration early enough. It happens like really
Oh,
when the
do they?
episode opens up. Yeah,
Do they claim that?
yeah.
Thank
Apparently,
you for asking me to do this. Here we go. Portrait of a nervous man. Oliver Pope, by name, office manager, by profession, a man best by life's problems, his job, his salary, the competition to get ahead. Obviously, Mr. Pope's mind is not on his driving. The narration continues after Pope commits the hit and run.
Dum dum dum.
Oliver Pope, businessman turned killer, on a rain-soaked street in the early evening of just another day during just another drive home from the office. The victim, a kid on a bicycle, lying injured, near death. But Mr. Pope hasn't time for the victim. His only concern is for himself. Oliver Pope, hit and run driver, just arrived at a crossroad in his life, and he's chosen the wrong turn. The hit occurred in the world he knows, but the run will lead him straight into the Twilight Zone.
man, don't eat what he's having. Apparently, in the Twilight Zone, you have the runs.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's a lot of words, Jacob. I appreciate you saying all those
It's
words.
a lot of words, man. A lot of
Yeah,
words.
yeah.
Mm.
So you drive is an episode.
It's
With a Ford
portrait of a
Fairlane.
man.
It's a portrait of a nervous man in a $4
Car.
Chevy,
Yeah.
$4 Ford Fairlane.
Chevy? I think it was a Plymouth.
It says Ford Fairlane, so
Oh, is it? Was it a Ford? Oh, it is a
I
Ford.
guess it looked like a Chevy
Okay.
from the
I really
from the
loved
front of it, but yeah,
actually,
it was
actually, if you look later in the episode, it is a Chevy.
oh,
Like,
is it?
Oh no! I'm sorry. I'm thinking something else. Never mind. I'm a dumbass.
It is an older car, so I guess like I was thinking, movies and shows usually have newer vehicles in them, even back then. But it's an older car, so it didn't really fit in line with like newer cars of the 60s, especially the mid 60s. So that's why I was kind of like, what is that? So it did have that more 50s vibe for the car. Because he was saying, oh, it's an old piece of crap.
Well, I mean, he's mad at Pete, so I mean, he just needs a new car. He needs a Snickers.
Bitch.
Yeah, Pete, son of a bitch, turns into a Snickers bar.
Absolutely.
But yeah, You Drive is an episode that is about driving and about haunted vehicles. And is it really a haunted vehicle, or is the car just possessed by the dead kid? Like, what is going on here? What did you guys like this episode?
Did we like the episode?
Yeah, did you guys enjoy this episode? What did you think? Tell me, people.
I remember seeing this at some point, but again, it's one of those where I wouldn't have been able to guess it by the name. It was an interesting premise, and I think that it had potential. Like I liked the basic idea of where it was going, but the execution was, I don't know, it was weird. That's not a great way to describe it, but like, I don't know, it felt, I don't know, weird.
Jacob, did it feel weird?
Yeah, I didn't not like the episode. I mean, it's not my favorite, but it was fine. It was the particulars of the ending I didn't guess, but the basic ending I pretty much got. I knew where the episode was going to go more or less pretty early on. I think we all did. But like the way it all played out, I think that they had a lot of opportunities they did not capitalize on. They had some
Yeah.
opportunities to make this more of a thriller. They had quite a few opportunities to make it kind of like more creepy than it was. Like, but they
Seeing the
like-
dead kid in the back or something like that.
or something, I don't know if you want to be that if they wanted to be that brazen about it, but like maybe some like, right out of focus corner of your eye kind of looks or something. I don't know, or something. Maybe he thought he saw something. They had some opportunities to make it more creepy that I thought would have worked, like in the garage, because I think garages at night are creepy. I don't know why that is, but they are to me. Oh, you're in a garage.
Yeah, I guess you could say I am in a garage right
Well,
now,
like
so I can
a
definitely say that.
garage at night, traditional garage at night with like the lights off, is kind of it's like most of them have like stairs. Maybe not all. I don't know. Some of the ones I've had in my life, they had like a short little stairway that goes like into the kitchen or something like that. And like I always feel like somebody's like chasing me up the stairs that I can barely see. So garages are creepy to me. So with the car going off, and you kind of already know, okay, car's possessed by the kid or something like that, or he's bonded with the car. Maybe like seeing like a shadowy figure in the car or right behind him or something like that could have been, or something. Maybe like he thought he saw things. I think it could have. It didn't capitalize on its creep factor enough.
Yeah.
You know
and-
what? Good.
What?
I'm sorry, guy. I was gonna
No,
say
I was-
something
I was-
stupid.
saying the whole episode was fine. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't blown away by it.
Like a
It's
middle
not
of the
bad
road episode.
Yeah.
Very much middle of the road. I did notice.
Literally.
I didn't even mean that. I didn't mean that on purpose. I just funny.
I did
though.
notice that they did a lot of on location shooting for this episode.
Yeah, they
which
shot in
didn't
Culver
see too
City.
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like very like in natural lighting, and it looked like, but like it has a different look from the jump than Twilight Zone usually does, because Twilight Zone's mostly done on sets. And
Yeah.
even when they're outside, you could tell they're like backlots and stuff like that. But here it's a very natural look, and that, and there's quite a bit of it, so that kind of sets it apart as well. But yeah, it is.
I can't imagine how big that camera was in that car. Like you probably had to rip out the side of the car just to get that camera in there.
Probably hanging out. It's probably honestly
Attached to the side of
attached
it,
to the side
maybe?
of the car,
Yeah.
going through the window, like the lens is going through the window, but the camera rig itself is probably on the outside of the car or next to it, maybe with like a dolly system hooked up to the side of the car,
Yeah.
rolling along next to it.
I know that they did it with the Trouble with Machines. No, yeah, the Trouble with Machines. But I do appreciate like having the car look driverless, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I know
Oh,
that's not new to TV at that point in time. There had been a lot of stuff that did it, but the fact that they went above and beyond to kind of show it,
How'd
because a
they
lot
do it?
there's
Was it like a Knight Rider situation where they got like a guy in the back seat?
that, or I would assume that they just had someone kind of ducking down and they knew roughly where they needed to turn. Because that's really all the car did. Like it pulls out of the driveway and kind of turns backs out onto the street.
Well, I know
Or
that
they just made the guy look like a seat.
Kit had like a little steering wheel and pedals and everything behind the driver's seat.
It's possible
you could get
too.
down. Like when I saw the actual Kit car in Gatlinburg, it like the steering wheel was like this big. It looked like one of them little chain steering wheels on like lowriders. It was like right behind the driver's seat. I wonder if they did that.
Well, and if they did, it would have been one that would have been on set like for other stuff, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They probably didn't.
Yeah, apparently
it's probably just somebody laying down going this.
Yeah, apparently you can see the MGM backlot in a scene in the episode at some point, which I thought was kind of funny.
About it, they're shooting on location.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, they shot like on actual streets. I'm just saying, like apparently, like there's a shot with the woman, the wife driving the car, and you can see the MGM studios in the background, which I thought was kind of funny because I don't think it says take place in California, but I thought the perfect example of what would have made this episode better. This guy Oliver hits this kid. Unfortunately kills him, as we learn. He goes home, and then the car just drives off and goes to a car bar and just like drowns his sorrow in oil. And that's how he every night he just goes out and gets drunk on oil, and then goes home and forgets to turn off his lights and forgets to turn off the radio and the horn. And as you do when you're drunk, you forget to turn off shit and stumble in, and it really didn't care. And then one day it's just like, I can't do this anymore, so it takes itself to the pound and takes to jail. So
So did you guys think that he was gonna? Nick, you said you saw the ending coming. It hit you.
Yeah.
From a mile away. Did you know that that's specific? Like he was going to turn himself in or go to jail?
I had a feeling that was. I mean, I think the killing would have been much I don't know. But the real question is, which would have been better? Would the car killing him been better, or would have like another car? Would have been like it follows circular situation where like the next person hits him and drives off, and then the ghost gets transported into the next car, or
Yeah.
that'd been interesting.
I thought it was either going to kill him, but I'm with you. I didn't really necessarily think it was going to. I wouldn't have been surprised if it killed him, but I thought it was going to be more of a like it was going to terrorize him so much that he was like going to break down and like confess, not necessarily to the police. I thought it was going to be like to his wife.
Yeah.
Like he was going to break
Right.
down and just I did it and like say something, and she'll be like, "You what?" But no, he just got dropped off casually by the car at the police station.
And then the car went off to live a happy life in the country. I will say I didn't with that whole thing when it came up, it's like, oh well, that makes sense, just given the fact that like he was obviously not a good person for running away, but he certainly wasn't to the extent of which, he earned death. And I don't
Yeah.
think that they would have let him, I don't think the censors or like the studios would have allowed them
Sure.
to let him to get away with murder.
Why did he get out of the
basically.
car to begin with? If he wasn't going to stay.
I think they said he was gonna like, because I looked up on Wikipedia kind of the story beforehand, just because I was trying to like make it through this and get on here and then spend an hour and a half talking, shot behind the scenes. But it said that he was on his way to go help the kid, but then he got scared and ran away.
Yeah, that makes sense. So he's not like a terrible person. He just reacted wrongly to a bad situation.
Right, but then he tried to hide it, his guilt overwhelmed, and
Yeah.
ultimately, see, I think that I do think the car was probably his guilt.
Yeah, but it was okay. So I'm glad you said that. And this is maybe we're jumping the shark here, but I wish the episode had gone that route a little bit more of like because okay, yeah, the car could be his guilt and all that, but I mean it does things in the show that assuming that what we're seeing is real, it's obviously the car's possessed or something.
Right.
It's it's not just his guilt. I wish they had maybe left it a little bit more vague and left it open to where we could have that long conversation about was the car really possessed or was it just his guilt? But I mean, they show
I mean, at the end when it pulls out on
and
like
opens
the
the
wife's
door
just
for him.
staring, it's like, the fuck was that?
Yeah.
It just drives off. It's like, yeah, there's no
No nuance.
secrecy behind that anymore.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no
We know at
vagueness
that
or-
point it's
Yeah, and I wish they had like left it a little bit more ambiguous as to whether or even like maybe show all that stuff happen and then have him go in and be like, I did it, and the car is crazy and da. Or maybe break down and say that and then have like a scene where I don't know how they would do it, but people are like, what are you talking about? And like kind of go back and we see that all these things he was seeing weren't happening that way. It was actually him and it was his guilt or something like, I don't know, something a little bit more nuanced.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I don't think the fact that he was going to get caught, whether it be through death or confession, was a surprise. I think the twist could have been that we think the car is alive the whole time, but actually it was just in his head because he was so wrought by guilt or overwrought by guilt. But alas, that is not the direction they chose.
remember 24 minutes.
I mean, I think they could have done that in 24 minutes.
Well, here's a random question for you guys. What did you think of the other guy being tagged with the murder?
I really thought they were doing
Like that felt really weird to me.
Yeah, it felt
was
like
weird because
something from an hour-long episode, and they would have played with it more. But it happened, and then there's just no consequence from it, really.
Yeah.
Like you would think that maybe either he's going to start to feel guilty about that, or maybe there's going to be some type of consequence.
It gets into the My Cousin Vinny situation where they bring in the witnesses and Vinny's sitting there going, how thick is your glasses, or how much dirt and crud was on your windshield? We just had this woman who is just sitting with the police officer, just waiting for a car to drive by, which is very weird to begin with on its own, right? And she just sees some random car that looks nothing like the Ford Fairlane. It's like, that's that car. And also it's just Pete. It's just like, what the fuck is going on? Like
you can't be like, I guess you got to be for sure. Yeah, I'm for sure.
Yeah, and she's like, oh yeah, yeah, that's the one. I'm like, that's not even a Ford Fairlane. It's some other random like Buick or some shit.
Right.
It's just so weird. I mean, I enjoyed the episode, but I agree. It's weird in some places. It's fun in some places. Like
straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and again, Pace Magazine is one of those things where it's kind of it has moments that it's good and moments that it's bad. But I do agree with what it had to say here, which was essentially it tried to be funny and it tried to be serious and it didn't really go well with either. Like it had funny moments like the witness who couldn't identify the proper car. But then on the other side, it's about a 12-year-old getting run over by a vehicle. So it was trying
The
like it
big
was too
12-year-old, by the
silly.
way.
Yeah, it was too silly to be serious and too serious to be silly.
I didn't even think that stuff was funny.
No, but like
I didn't realize they were
the
trying to be
witness
funny.
part. I think it was probably not intentional, but like there's always that witness that's like, oh well, clearly it was this person, but
I don't know. I do think that it was a very straightforward, on surface level, what you see is what you get episode, but it had a lot of opportunity to be something else, either scary or more nuanced and like make you wonder whether whether the car was doing what it was or not. And I think they could have done more with the same exact story, just done more with it to make it more interesting and more Twilight Zoney.
yeah.
And I mean, it just, oddly enough, that ambiguity would seem more like a Twilight Zone episode than a living car running around for revenge. That
You
seems less Twilight Zone to me than the ambiguity of revenge car, but then in the end we're told, was it or was it in his head?
right. Do you think that we've had a lot of those that like over and I know season 5 we've run into a lot of episodes that kind of repeat things that have come previously. But do you think the whole do they don't they thing is a little bit like played out at this point?
Overplayed.
Maybe that's why they took it in more of a like a okay, this is definitely what this is type situation.
Maybe. I mean, that would possibly. But I mean, at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is how much more of this we got to talk about.
That's
I mean,
a pretty
there's
simple
just,
story.
yeah, there's not a whole lot about this episode to talk about. And I think if it
Yeah, it's a
was
lot of
had that,
reaction stuff.
yeah, if we had that, I think that would just be more to speak about.
Oh no, I
More to
agree.
tickle the brain about.
I mean, the only other thing you can talk about is kind of on the guilt side of things. Like you can tell it started to take its toll on him.
Yeah.
He started to get short and, it was a lot of, well, did you do this and did you do that and blah 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 and
But they never, that's the thing, is that there was a lot of opportunity in this episode for things to happen or storylines to take place or to explore some of these things that would happen in a situation like this. I mean, all these things I've suggested, it doesn't have to be any of those, or it could be something else. They just had opportunities left and right. And it just seems like they just never, like that. The guilt part, I don't feel like they really explored that much. It showed up and they're like, oh, yeah, he's overwrought with guilt, maybe. But then but okay, moving on. Killer car. I
well,
mean,
and
I
I
know it's
think
only 24 minutes, but, if you're going to say something or show something, and you never, like the guy getting arrested, you do a thing but you never reference it again, it's kind of like, why'd you do the thing? You're wasting time, especially in 24 minutes at that point.
do you think that since we've got Christine, we've got Knight Rider, we've got how many possessed or mechanical or whatever kind of cars that we've seen in the past 60 years since this, do you think that affects how we view this episode?
For me, oh no, not really. I mean, of course I think of Christine when seeing this because it's an older car and
Yeah.
trying to kill somebody with a spirit attached to it or something like that, we think. But I mean, I don't really think that's like making me view it differently. I mean, I can't say because Christine is there.
No, understood.
But I
I was
don't
just curious.
think, like, I don't continue to think about Christine while I'm thinking of this episode. Sure, this thought popped in my head, but beyond that, I don't feel like I'm swayed by it. Could be wrong. Who knows? Maybe I am. Maybe I'm like, this is the poor imitation.
Done first, not
Son
done
of a bitch.
best.
Quite honestly, I
Carter
went
needs to
into
go back
this
to car
episode
jail.
preloaded. I went in preloaded to at least give the episode more of a chance because Earl Hamner Jr. did write it, and I like Earl Hamner Jr. So going into it, just knowing that, I was already had a predisposition to side with the episode a bit more. And I'm not saying it's a bad episode. I just,
No.
any shortcomings it had were probably even more so because I was already it didn't have to do much for me to enjoy it, to say, oh yeah, it was good. See, Hamner Jr. does it again.
Woohoo.
The fact that I'm
Don't
like,
say that
"Eh,
yet. I
fine."
mean, we haven't got the black leather jackets yet, so
Oh yeah, but I mean, to say it, we have it on Jezebel though.
Yeah.
To say that it was fine, I feel like maybe some other people might be like, it was less than fine. I don't think it was bad. I think it was just I mean this in the most enduring way possible. It was a throwaway episode. Not a bad episode, but just kind of when we get to the end of the season, which is right around the corner, honestly, and we talk about, and we're going to have an episode, I'm sure. I know we'll have an episode where we talk about the 5th season, but I'm sure we'll probably have an episode where we just talk about the series as a whole or something
Yeah.
like that. Review the everything we've done. I doubt we're going to bring this one up. It's not going
Agreed.
to be part of the memory,
I-
even on the maybe on the
Yeah.
episode season 5 one, but it's not. This is going to be not much of a footnote.
And that's the problem. Like it tries to be a fun, entertaining episode with, guy has, issues at work and makes a mistake and then and exacerbates that mistake by, driving off in a hit and run, and then the car comes back and is like, no, sir, you cannot have this. You cannot do this. You have to pay your penance and stuff like that. And I don't know. Once again, compared to what, 9 years without slumbering, a short drink from a certain fountain, Seventh Mate of the Phantoms, Pro 7 over and out. It's just kind of a list of like kind of boring episodes, and then you get Ring a Ding Girl, and then you get this. And I think maybe if we had much better episodes prior last few weeks, and then You Drive comes on, maybe I'd be a little bit harder on it. But I
Yeah,
don't
get
know.
what
I
you're
just
saying.
found,
We're obviously going
the car
to
stuff
take
cool.
into consideration where we are in the series since we're watching
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
in order. So like we're going to compare them to more recent episodes, and the fact of the matter
Yeah.
is last week's was good, which we actually just recorded 2 nights ago. But but the rest of them for this season, not all of them. There's been some I liked. Like me and Nick really liked the Adam and Eve one.
Right.
But I'll say that season 5 thus far, which we're more than halfway through now, it's weaker than some of the other ones. It's not been bad. I don't think have we had any like truly just awful episodes? I can't remember.
There's a couple that hit like the 90s, or
Yeah.
80s, but nothing.
It's been very
Meh.
lower end of the mid tier.
Yeah.
Like
It's starting
and
to show that they're getting to the end of the series.
yeah, it's almost like
Like-
I feel like they in the writing process, not in the filming, but in the writing process, which is where all this starts, and in the filming, they knew this was the end, but it wasn't they know this is the end, let's go out with a bang. They knew this was the end, and they're just either like, thank God, or just like, oh fuck it. We're contracted to do this many episodes, here you go. And like I said, I feel like I've run across a lot of episodes more recently in in this season and in the end of last season where there was a lot of opportunity. Like the story is not so much the bad part; it's the execution and
Yeah.
they don't seem like they're delving as deep in the stories. Like there's some season 1 episodes that they'll take a story and the story will be simple, but they will really go deep on some specific aspects of the story that make it interesting and characters and things. They focused more. Recently, it seems like they're trying to have broader stories. I mean, I guess they're still relatively simple, but it's like they throw a bunch of stuff in these episodes, but never follow up on it. So it's like they had ideas, but then they're like, hey, we're making a 24-minute episode, guys. We'll just leave the idea in there anyway, because I like where it would have gone, but we don't go there. So,
Yeah.
and in doing that, it takes away time for them to actually focus on instead of having 20 different points or 10 different points in an episode, like season 1 would have had like 2 or 3, but those 2 or 3 were immaculate.
Mhm.
And I don't feel like they're doing more is better instead of less is more, if you will. I don't know. That was a rant.
No, and I think too
Low
coming off
energy
of
rant.
yeah, I do think too coming off of season 4 where you had to focus so much on the hour episodes, and then you take it back to half hour, which you kind of get 2 ends of the spectrum. On one end, it's okay, there's less to write for, there's less to worry about. Budgets might be a little bit less, but we can focus more on each story. Get one good idea out there and call it a day. But if they're still in that hour writing mode, like you say, where they're like, oh, well, let's toss this in. Well, we're not going to have time to flesh it out, but it's already in here. Call it a day.
And maybe the idea was maybe the idea came to fruition or the idea came up when they were doing hour-long episodes. So whoever, or Henry Jr., I guess, I'm sure he wrote it, but I feel like these shows probably had a few more people putting their hands on it too.
Yeah.
Maybe they had like, hey, for an hour-long episode, they could have focused on these things more.
Well,
Like the
that's a
guy,
misconception of a TV series in general. You can even see that today. There is quote unquote a writer's room of
Yeah.
people. Like they'll have someone write the episode, but they'll also have like Rod Serling and Earl Hamner Jr.
a
and
lot of people put their
other
hands on it.
writers from the season in there to kind of flesh out the story. It's just I think there's getting to a point where the voice of the Twilight Zone, and you're seeing this in more and more episodes. I mean, we'll get to like a couple of really good episodes, but you're starting to see the voice kind of peter out, like the flames kind of starting to go. And once again, we're starting to see this problem where we talk about an episode like You Drive, and we just don't have much to talk about because one, it's a very simplified episode, and
Mhm.
two, it's just there isn't a lot of thought put into it. You know, the one
Yeah,
thing
I
that we
agree.
can say about Old Man in the Cave or Nightmare at 20,000 Feet or The Invaders is
Masks.
there's a lot of thought and energy put into it. But when we have a thing about a guy who kills a kid and all it is really horn beeps and lights blink and radio comes on.
It's surface level.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
very first
yeah.
draft. Not even
Right.
first draft. That sound it's this really. If you told me that this was written as an hour long and they cut it down to 24 minutes, I'd be like, I see it. I absolutely see it. Not that there's even like a lot of, because like I said, there's not like a lot of the thing with the guy getting arrested. That just seemed like really because they just did nothing with
Kind
it.
of last minute or like
Yeah.
last minute edition.
It went nowhere. But
Yeah.
like there were just these opportunities that I just feel like weren't realized. And I don't know if that's because they didn't have time to realize it or because they just were lazy. I hate to say lazy, but I feel like they knew this shit was ending and they were just like, just get it out. Just get it out.
Well,
Yeah.
and I'll add too that like the dynamic of man hits child, because it does it. The energy of it starts where there is a level of energy to the beginning of this episode.
Mhm.
You know, Rod Serling out the gate is tells us this, and then you go into guy hits kid, and then oh, he runs away. It starts what I would consider to be pretty strong. But then, yeah, it's just this dynamic episode where a kid dies is just like not dead on arrival, but very much just nah.
Well,
He's-
he calls the hospital and he's like, "Oh, okay," and hangs up the phone. And then finally, they eventually learn that the kid died, which is interesting. And then they pull the Herbie at the end when the car just pulls out of the garage,
Yeah.
and that's kind of interesting. But it's just stuff in the middle. It repeats and rinses and repeats. And once again, we've already had car kills or tries to kill man or whatever in the pool, and I don't know, whatever. It's fine. That's how you can break it down to.
I think the thing you can say about all of these episodes that were kind of middling, there was a great idea at the base of it, and even some great execution, but there was something essential missing from the majority of these episodes. Like season 5 like feels like a sprint, like a marathon runner that gets like a burst of energy and then loses it, and then another burst of energy. So you have like Ring a Ding Girl or Masks or whatever other episodes you want to take from season 5 that are like truly what works of wow, but then the rest is just back to normal pace.
Back to normal paced
Yep.
magazine.
Yep.
Damn
you, Paste.
yeah. And I don't know. Like I'm sitting here just going, all right, when's he gonna go to jail? Oh, friend gets arrested. Oh, woman thinks that guy is driving a car. I'm still bothered by the fact that the woman just, I guess your perception when you see a hit and run or something that's traumatic, your perception could be a little different than what
No, fair.
actually happened. But I don't know. It's just ironic that the one guy who gets arrested is the one guy who visits, who is Oliver's competition or rival or whatever, and is mad at him. He's like, "I'm so sorry, Wilma. I did not mean to get upset at him. That's my fault." It's just like, okay, sure. I don't know.
Yep.
You
Oh,
drive.
I did have to when his wife like took the car to the thing and she's like, "Oh, I spent $35 getting it back into shape." I was just thinking, God bless it.
Right.
Oh my God. You
It
can't
costs
get an
more to
oil.
fill up your tank now.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, with inflation, $35 is like $8,000 today. So
Still. Damn.
Let's
I
see.
wonder how much
I'm guessing
Well,
inflation
150.
calculate. What year
Is
is 1965?
For
1695.
$35 in 1964. It's about $355.
Jesus.
Wow, 914%
10
inflation rate. That's crazy.
That's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
I mean, let's be real. $355 to have somebody overhaul your whole car is not
No, it's a
bad
drop in the
either.
bucket. Yeah. You can't get a muffler replaced for that. I know because currently I have to have a muffler replaced.
Yeah.
Well, they're talking about like $600 for like brake replacement. Like,
Ugh.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Adulting.
Yeah. So what
They're
happens when
musical.
you drive, you pay, you drive, you know.
Yeah.
So do you think this car found another car and fell in love in Paris, and then they went on a racing competition, and you know, guy from Mayberry and a guy that Mr. Flubber are racing, and then things
What the
happen.
fuck are you talking about?
I
It's either
Okay,
Car
so
17 or it's Herbie.
no, well, it is Herbie. You guys have never seen Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo?
Nope.
Not that I recall.
Wait,
Not with
really?
the great
With Dean
detail that
Jones
you
and
recall.
so Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo, Dean Jones and who played the wacky sheriff, and
Don Knotts.
Don Knotts, thank you. They go to Paris because they're gonna drive in like a Le Mans style whatever, and Herbie falls in love with the car, and then there's like
Aw.
a robbery go wrong, and Herbie gets the jewel stuck in his car. It's a very sweet, very goofy movie. But I
That's
just
cute.
like this car reminds me, it's like his crime fighting cousin or some shit. It's like, you know, the car was gonna go off and fight crimes with, you know, another car or something like that.
He's gonna be the car equivalent of Batman.
Exactly. He's gonna fight cars with, or fight cars. He's gonna fight bad guys with his I don't know, motorcycle or whatever. I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyways, I love Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo. You know, I'm gonna watch that when I get done with this episode.
Yay!
Anyways, so that's it. That's really, anything else you guys want to talk about with You Drive? Is there anything you wanted to bring up? I know it's not a very complex episode at all, and
I mean, and
once
that's
again,
the
he
thing.
gets driven to the police station. So
I mean, that's kind of the thing about Twilight Zone. Very few of the episodes are what you would classify as complex stories, but it
I would
depends on
disagree,
like,
Triv. I would disagree. Like, we've run into some non-complex, but there's some complex episodes.
No,
Like
no,
Nightmare
but
at 20,000 Feet is a complex episode.
is it though? It's a guy that sees a gremlin on the wing. That's kind of where it starts and
Yeah,
stops.
but
I
it's
know there's
raining
nuance to
and
it. Yeah,
he rides
that-
the I don't know, rides the engine like the thing from Doctor
like a
Strangelove.
wrecking
Like
ball.
Strangelove, or how I
Yeah.
learned to stop worrying and love the bombs.
Great movie.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the old man in the cave. That's a complex episode, I think.
Sure.
You know, whenever I think of, okay, so no shit, because I've said a bunch of times, like, oh, the episodes now don't have that same nuance or make us have the same conversations that like season 1 did. Every time I think of that, every time I'm having that conversation, the episode from season 1 I'm thinking about, and there's more than one, but the one I always think about is What You Need.
Oh yeah.
What You Need on the surface seemed like a pretty simple episode, but there was so much that, like, that's what I was talking about. Like, there's so much to it, like in the background, that you can just talk about. And I think we had to cut that conversation off because we just like would have kept going. It's like, what does this mean? What is that? How is this? How's this work? How's that work? It could be this, it could be that. And some of it's kind of goofy and funny and, you know, dumb stuff we were saying. But the point is, and it was also a solid episode. There's just all this stuff that the earlier episodes lended themselves better to more open conversation, like water
Right.
cooler moments. Like, hey, last night, did you see this? Yeah. Did you blah, 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 blah. The later episodes, like now, are just a lot of them, not all of them. And that's not to say there's not good ones. Like we said, the terror at whatever feet, 20,000 feet.
Yeah.
And things like that. But now the episodes, I don't feel like they lend themselves to like opening up so many interesting conversations anymore as often.
Right. I was
Like
gonna
the
say we
season
had
1 was
quite a
like every
conversation.
episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say like our conversation on 90 Years Without Slumbering, but then that was based on some personal stuff too, so that does change the dynamic of, personal experiences are gonna,
Yeah.
add quite a bit
And
to the
then
dynamic of the story. But I know I agree though. I've felt terrible because it's like you're talking about an episode and there's nothing I can say to add that's gonna, outside of trivial points. There's just I felt like God, have I lost the ability to tell a good episode? Genuinely. It's like, but a lot of these episodes have been, they're nice, they're good. There's nothing wrong with them on a
they're fine.
general level. But we hold Twilight Zone, I think across the board, if you think, 60s Twilight Zone, you hold it to a higher standard. So the highs are going to be much higher, but
Well,
the meh is
yeah.
kind of
I mean, you can say the
meh.
same thing about Simpsons. You can say the same thing about The Sopranos. You can say the same thing about,
But
you
but
know.
is it? Am I wrong though? Like we hold like,
Well,
Yeah.
and
I think we do because there is a level of quality, a level of like future viewing that the series does, that when you watch an episode like You Drive, this is more of like if you were to go see a Marvel movie or something like that, or something of fluff where, you watch like The Invaders, or you watch like, One for the Angels, or Monster Joe Maple Street, Eye of the Beholder, and they're literally telling you something about human nature and about the ideas of like who we are and how we represent the ideas of what we do. I think it's something like You Drive, which is just about a guy who hits a person and feel like refuses to feel bad for it until his car turns on him. There's nothing. It's more superficial than actually thought provoking,
Yeah.
and that's what it boils down to. And once again, it doesn't make it a bad episode. Like I could go and this could be on the Sci-Fi Channel or something like that. I'd happily watch it. It's just there's just no substance there. It's just a guy who did something
Well,
really
and
bad.
that's
And
what they did
I didn't mean to
with
cut you
like
off,
the
Drew.
earlier.
no, it's all
That's what
right.
they
You're
did
good.
with the earlier ones better was they focused on things. They focused on like I said, what you need. They focused on what you needed to know, but it seemed like there was more. It seemed like they fleshed out this whole world, these characters rather. They fleshed all this stuff out, but they didn't necessarily include it because it wasn't needed for the story. So what that did was it lent itself really well to us being like, well, what about this though? What about this thing in this story? This is about these interesting characters. We got everything we needed for the story it was trying to tell, but there's like this whole other world going on there, and it told us enough to make us ask those questions. Now with like this episode and a fair amount of the others more recentishly, I don't feel like that level of care and thought is put into the stories and the characters. Some of them, but I mean, there have been some where it's just like it's so surface level that you're not really wondering about what else is going on with them. Like you got what you need with the old man with the stuff and all that, and you wonder where else has he gone, what else has he done, et cetera, et cetera. With this one, you don't really wonder anything about these characters beyond what is just right there in front of you, and I think that that's all you're supposed to wonder about. But that makes it not as interesting. They don't feel like living, breathing characters beyond the confines of this episode. And
Yeah.
characters in the earlier ones did. They felt like these characters have existed before, and the ones that live will exist after. And that makes me want to wonder what were they doing and what are they going to be doing. These characters, I don't care. I
Yeah, you just know
care
a guy was
while they're
having
there.
a stress out and hit somebody, and then after that, he's
Yeah,
going to go to jail and be convicted probably. And there's not really much nuance, I guess you could say.
yeah. They cease to exist when the episode's over.
Yeah.
I
And no
feel like
further thought is
I'm
really
really
given.
ragging on this episode too, and I didn't
No,
dislike
I
it.
think that no, I don't think you're ragging on it. I think it brings up points.
We're
It's
ragging
kind
on
of it's
the
kind of the
show.
straw. It's kind of it's not straw that broke the camel's back, but it's because we've had several that have kind of fallen into this realm. And again, they're serviceable episodes, but they're not like there've been so many in a row. I think that you get you get reflective on, okay, say 6 of the past 14 episodes have been eh. So
That
I think
80
that
area.
yeah, 100%. Like they're all, and I mean, even, and again, I brought this up last week or last episode too, but a good chunk of them, both on IMDb and Paste, which again, it's opinion, you know, both in both cases, but all of them have fallen in that kind of 80 to 110 area.
Yeah.
Like very few have stepped outside that, even in small ways. And
I
even if
agree.
you get, you know, a 7 out of 10, it's still a 7 out of 10 when the entire, like, I think the lowest rated episode is like a 5.5 or a 6. So
Too high. Too high.
rent's too damn high.
Exactly, as they say. Yeah, I agree. I agree with all your points. It's
Do you?
no, I don't agree with anything.
Yeah.
I just
I mean,
work
did
here.
you guys ever feel any? I felt like the whole
I
thing
didn't
of
feel
him coming
anything.
home.
I mean, I enjoyed it, but I didn't feel anything at all in this
Yeah,
episode.
it was, you felt what you were told, and that was it. And like
Yeah,
one of the things that I feel like should have been a major point of the episode was him keeping it from his wife, because we spend a fair amount of time with him and his wife, and I never felt like he was like stressing about keeping this secret from his wife. I mean, we got some moments where he was stressed, I guess, just about that he had done this thing. And
he just kind
he
of
was
forgets
like
about
making
it.
calls and stuff.
Yeah,
But like anytime his wife was in the area, it was never like, or it was rare enough to where I don't remember it, to where like he was trying to keep or afraid she's going to find out or paranoid about that or anything like that. It didn't feel like he was really trying to keep the secret. I never saw him doing anything to keep the secret. You know what I mean?
I'll be honest with you. When the car pulled out of the
Remember?
garage, I almost started busting out laughing because it was
When
just
she was
so. It's
just
just
like, the
so.
fuck?
Yeah, but it was like at that point I'm like they're not even trying to hide the fact now. They're not even like, oh well, the car just kind of happens to be on the road and this could be like a point of contention of like his mental state. No, the car is just gonna drive out in the middle of daylight and just drive down the road and it just has no subtlety, which is kind of a problem. But
Yeah.
And
I
they
found
were
it kind of funny.
really, I mean, yeah, they said something about it and had conversation and called the mechanic about how this car got back to their house. They were
Yeah,
just kind of like, "Oh, that's really weird. What
yeah.
I don't
Don't
happened?
make
know
me
I
how
pay
I
don't
for
know.
it.
know. Oh well, let's just
Yeah.
leave it there." No, I would be like, "Okay, this fucking car's been acting weird, and it just shows back up at the house, and nobody knows how. That's not normal."
Or cars playing loud music, but we're gonna blame the neighbors because apparently it comes from the neighbor's yard. It's
No,
like,
100%.
I unhooked the
yeah,
battery, or so I assume he yanked the battery wire off, the battery cable off. It seemed like, and the car's still making noise after that. Nah, man, fuck that
Ghosts.
car.
Yeah. I will say for me, the first like few minutes did have some kind of hustle to it. Like it was between
Mhm.
Serling's opening and the kind of like the opening action there. It
Setup,
did,
yeah,
the setup was great. Like that part did make me feel something, but after that, yeah, it's just it's like that guy that nothing that, you know, they're kind of unflappable, but in a bad way.
yeah.
Like
It did. The
what
setup was
if they
good.
would have like what if and again even tone they couldn't really decide because there were some weird funny moments like the car backing out of the driveway by itself, the kind of absent-minded professor-esque witness, you know, there are those moments it's like trying to be kind of goofy in a classic Twilight Zone way, but then you get the fact that okay, a 12-year-old got killed, you know,
Yeah,
you really can't in that state and place you really can't make that funny. But like if you wanted to go one of those directions, I don't know, take it to the mechanic and have like a goofy mechanic that's like, well, I don't know what the hell's going on. I've checked it
well
stem to stern, you know?
that's the thing. Like if they're gonna do that goofy pull out of the garage bit, they should have just leaned into the comedic because you know you could have like the car driving away from the mechanic shop and the good mechanic will go ooh,
some Benny Hill
you know, give
music.
that,
I
yeah.
don't think they were trying to be goofy
No,
though.
I don't think
That's the
so
No, I
either.
thing.
don't
But
either. But
but I mean, the thing is, the goofy kind of absent-minded professor witness was a trope of the time. You know, kind of the
yeah,
nosy neighbor that happens to be looking out the back window. And yeah,
yeah.
I don't
Even
think it was played for laughs per
well,
se.
no, no,
But
no. I'm not saying it was like I was laughing because it was just so
no, I
like
agree
it
with
was so
you.
weird. It was like you're gonna play this like it's his mental state, and yes, she can hear the car beeping, and maybe he's doing it, but like it just. And then the woman watching all the cars with the police officer, it just none of it felt like it should have been taken seriously. And I know it's supposed to be serious. A kid dies, and I'm not trying to make light
No,
of
no,
that. I'm
no.
just saying,
I don't think anybody is.
you know, it
I'm
almost
just-
feels like this car could have been like, you know, I don't know, just kind of like in a race or something like that. It's weird. It has some weird tonal shifts that I don't even think it's intentional, but it feels like really funny to me.
yeah.
The cops are doing a stakeout.
Yeah.
I just watched Trap,
Yeah.
so that's all I kept thinking about.
Did you eat a piece of cake after it? Just because you were so hungry for cake?
What? Oh, from the end, yeah.
Yeah. Um, did
Literally
you have
52
a
minutes.
did you have a really famous celebrity come over and sing for you?
Every weekend?
Uh,
Yeah.
All right, all right. I don't know. The only thing I got out of this is there's a Golden Harvest Volume 1 Supernatural Shockers Blu-ray coming out.
Hooray.
There's
Yeah,
what?
right. With Sex and Zen, Erotic Ghost Story 1, 2, and 3, and Dr. Vampire and Robotics.
I missed something.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I don't know where I'm going with that. Anyways, so anything else anything else you guys want to talk about
Yeah,
with the
absolutely.
episode? Yeah, exactly.
That.
Stephen Chow collection coming out. Selected from Chow's 90s prime. I love Stephen Chow did Kung Fu
Kung Fu
Hustle
Hustle. Yeah.
Fu
And
Hustle
Shaolin
and
Shaolin
Soccer.
Soccer.
Shaolin Soccer, which I watched the other day. Love it.
Yeah, yeah. I love that when he gets the knives in his fucking legs. It always makes me laugh.
I like the old lady.
Anyway,
or
no,
the
in all
washerwoman.
seriousness, right.
She was awesome.
And then there's the classic Dragon the Bruce Lee story coming to 4K. You know, Rod
How did
Cohen's
you get
famous.
onto this?
Because I'm on Blu-ray.com just because I was looking for something while we were talking. But
Aw.
okay, in all seriousness, is there anything you guys also want to talk about with this episode? Want to bring up?
I think I've covered. But
Yeah, not really.
Is it, you know,
I mean, I don't know what else
nothing?
there's. I think like a good
Oh, I
chunk of
know,
the
I'm just-
conversation that
yeah.
we've had on this has been kind of the state of like where we're at in the fifth season more than anything else. Which it's a good conversation, no doubt. But yeah,
Well,
the episode is more
apparently,
catalyst than anything.
right. Apparently, the lead actress Helen Westcott was in Abbott and Costello Meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Nice.
Right on.
Yeah. So with that said, that is me about ready to sneeze.
Bless you.
And with that said, that is going to be our take on, was it season 5, episode 13 or episode 14 called You Drive. Yeah, You Drive Me Crazy and I just can't see. I'm so excited. I went too deep.
That's what she said.
You went too deep.
Is that what Britney
Did she
Spears
say
sings?
that?
I went too deep.
Did she
Oops,
say that?
I did it again.
You drive me crazy.
Drive me crazy,
lyrics.
but I feel all right. Baby, thinking of you keeps me up all night.
Thank you for giving me something at the end that
Yep.
isn't Alex. Anyways, You Drive, episode 14 of season 5.
Yep.
All right, Jacob.
Hey, it's a
This
poet
is
and
the
don't even
closing
know it.
narration. It's a podcast. Podcasts.
I have a
Podcat?
podcat. He's a weird
Podcasts.
podcat.
Podcasts.
He stares at us.
I was looking up a Stephen Chow movie. You said that, and I was like, "What's that one movie with like mermaids?" It's called Mermaids.
There you go.
Anyway.
Shit.
Yeah. I'll tell you guys about it. There's a good movie you guys should watch, but yeah, closing narration. How about that? Let's do that.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep.
Did
Yep.
someone tell me to do that?
Hey, Jake.
Oh, it was Nick. Okay.
Yep.
I just needed somebody to tell me to do it.
Yay.
Okay, all persons attempting to conceal criminal acts involving their cars are hereby warned. Check first to see that underneath the chrome there does not lie a conscience, especially if you're driving along a rain-soaked highway in the Twilight Zone.
Ooh.
Thank you for that.
Dun,
short one there, Rod.
dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun,
Da,
dun,
da,
dun.
da.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, you guys want to know where this fell?
No.
In Face Magazine and IMDb lists.
Oh yeah, sure. I think you were saying
Negative
something else.
Ghost Rider.
Any ideas?
Yeah, shit.
Any question or any thoughts on?
I think it's probably lower on the
Number
spectrum.
69.
Nope.
Nah, I bet this is about a 120-ish.
IMDb had it at 82 and Pace had it at 105.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
82,
higher than I
huh?
thought.
Yeah. Again, I don't
I'm
think
not
it's
saying that it
bad.
should be that
It's
on hours, but I'm
right.
just thinking of them and how they usually rate things. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was surprised that Pace. I would have thought that they would have had it lower too, but IMDb. I mean, they're a little bit more middle. There's more of an aggregator nature to IMDb listings. So, for better or for worse.
Oh baby, baby.
So I'm just
I
looking here.
supposed to know.
Between you've got Uncle Simon's at 88. A Drink from a Certain Fountain is at 90. Last Night of the Jockeys at 97.
Where's the list?
It's
I
on
sent it to you
the
on Twitter.
What's hot?
Seventh is Made Up of Phantoms is 102.
Is this IMDb or Paste?
No, I'm just listing off of the what we like in our list.
What our list? Oh, actually,
Yeah.
let me introduce that. The
Sorry.
Twilight Zone rank list. No, you're fine. No, I was like, are you reading from Paste Magazine? I couldn't figure out what you
Yes.
were. My mind is not with your. We're not syncing up for some reason. I'm having one of those nights apparently.
That's okay.
That's what happens when you do like 8 podcasts a week or something like that. Anyways, the Twilight Zone ranking list, the greatest ranking list ever known by driving a car. Anyways, yeah, I'm assuming you found the list, Jacob.
Yes.
Yes, I found a list. Yes.
Yes. My name's Jeff. Boots.
Goddamn Jared Hess and his Minecraft movie.
It might be good, but I don't know what the hell's going on
No.
with Jason Momoa there.
Well, dude stars in everything.
No, but have you seen this trailer?
I haven't.
We'll watch it after
just
we
to
get
see
done.
what Jason Momoa
absolutely.
looks like in this movie. It's like, what the fuck is going on? My wife even said, I showed my daughter because she loves Minecraft. My wife walks in and she just immediately, because I wanted her to see it and be like, look at Jason Momoa. She went, what the hell is wrong with Jason Momoa? Why is he looking like that?
Okay.
So here's my opening thought, and I don't really need.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. You need to
Open.
introduce
No,
it.
no, I already did. I
Oh,
introed.
did you? Shit, sorry.
Yeah, no. Give us your opening salvo.
No, I'm just gonna say. So Uncle Simon is 88. Drink from a short drink from a certain fountain is 90. I don't know that I would put it higher than the Lonely. So 88.
No, I was
or
just looking
87.
at the Lonely, and I was like, I will not. This is not better than the Lonely.
No, I would agree with that.
Uncle Simon.
Uncle Simon had more stuff going on. There's no doubt.
It did. There was more to talk about with Uncle Simon. I got to give it that. It was pseudo surface level too, but there was more to talk about the relationship and stuff there. Changing the guard. I know Nick hates that one. I think that was a better episode too.
What about so Midnight Sun is 96. Like I feel like Midnight Sun is a better episode than this.
Yes, I think it had more nuance to it as well, even though
but then you have the Arrival and then you have the Mirror.
Mirror was the one with the Fidel Castro like guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I need to rewatch that episode.
What about some kind of stopwatch?
I like a kind of stopwatch.
I like things about aspects of a kind of stopwatch. I think this was a better episode than a kind of stopwatch. I do think this was better than that.
So
kind
maybe
of stopwatch
between
had like, if I remember correctly, I was along the lines of there's a great 10-minute episode stretched out to 24 minutes.
Yeah.
This one definitely had some of that, but I mean, I was never like bored or irritated or like what the hell about this episode. I was just kind of like, yeah, it's fine, it's good.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that area right there. It's kind of stopwatch and Mute. I know that you guys didn't like Mute.
It was fine. It wasn't anything special.
I wouldn't be offended if this one above Mute.
Like between 96 and 99.
Yeah. So
I'm not a big fan of Last Night of the Jockey, but I do think it was better than this episode.
I'm not either, but I think it had more to talk about. I think it had more of that character. You're interested at least somewhat in the characters, even though the first half of that whole episode is just kind of almost like filler.
Yeah.
Right.
I think this one had a
So-
better pace overall than Last Night of the Jockey. But Last Night of the Jockey overall is a little bit more interesting. But once again, if it went above that, I'm not going to be offended. Now, Midnight Sun, I think, is definitely better than this.
I agree.
I
You
feel
just
like
love the sweaty
there's a bit of
guy.
a gulf there between Midnight Sun and Last Night of the Jockey. And in
Yeah,
that
it's
gulf-
weird. There actually kind of is.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And in that gulf is You Drive.
So number 98 sounds good.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, fine with me.
Oh, that was the quickest we've ever done.
I think we're all in
Alright,
agreement with this one.
Yeah.
exactly. All right. So with that said, new number 98, You Drive. Number 1, Eye of the Beholder. Number 134.
Wait.
I'm not done yet. Shut up. I'm not done
Okay.
yet. Number 134, Trouble with Templeton. Good Lord.
Ooh, and 111 is a piano in.
The house.
One day Jacob's going to pass out from not breathing.
He's gonna accidentally bop himself in the face.
And we will all laugh and have a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. Good times have I done. All right. You had your fun and good times have I
house.
done. Next episode, season 5, episode 15, called The Long Morrow, written by Rod Serling, directed by Robert Flory, stars Robert Lansing, Mary Hartley, George McReady. Jacob, if you love opening narrations, wait till next week. gonna say.
It's written by Rod Serling. He hasn't written one in a while, has he?
Oh
He
yeah,
didn't write
but
as
why
many this time.
when you get you'll see when you get to it how long that opening narration is.
The fuck? What the
It's-
fuck? It
it's
just
a-
keeps going.
It's
That's
a
what Jake
lot of
said.
words. It just keeps going.
This is a lot of words split in two.
Ooh.
Exactly.
It's a lot
That
of
really
words on
sounds like
both
what she said.
sides.
Oh
my
god.
God.
It's creamy in the middle.
One can only hope.
Exactly. So we'll look forward to that. Like I said, we're recording this like 6 weeks in advance, so we don't know what's happening in the world as we speak. So we hopefully may have a person on for that episode, so we'll see. Anyways, Jacob Triv, thank you for recording this early with me. I know I was
Absolutely.
bored. If you don't know, 2 weeks ago as this recording, Triv had a birthday, so happy birthday to Triv.
Yay.
Yeah, so
Happy days,
she's
Phil.
now 6 weeks older. I don't know how time works anymore. So, anyways, happy birthday, Triv.
Thank you.
Happy 2 weeks ago birthday.
Yay.
He's 28.
Anyways, yeah, 28. Anyway, so we'll do the closing outro stuff. Jacob Triv, Jacob, first to
Yes.
go.
What?
Content, places,
Me?
things, people.
I mean, it's
people.
the same. I got
Always the same.
I got 2 YouTube channels. Jacob Andrews Reviews and Retro Jake XY, but I haven't really uploaded anything in a while. I will. I'll put something on Retro Jake XY sometime.
Maybe in a couple weeks when this airs, you'll have something out. We don't know.
I may be working on something by then. I highly doubt I'll have anything out by then.
Oh god.
Check out what I do
Triv.
have. It's good stuff, I
Yeah.
think.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, you definitely have good stuff. What that stuff is, we'll never know. How many
Yarp.
licks does it take to get to the center of Tootsie Pop? You never know. So
So, in other words, everybody come lick my Tootsie Pop. Find out what's in the middle.
You know, more power to you.
Exactly. All right, Triv, give us stuff and things and people and places and things.
You're looking the wrong place if you're looking for stuff or people or things.
Things.
You can find me as per usual on Trivial Theater here on YouTube. I am by that point probably still doing short form riffing with a variety of collaborators and or friends of the channel. I'm hoping October I'll be putting out some actual reviews, but it's still kind of a to be determined level of thing at the moment. But there will be stuff out. I just gotta get my ass in gear and do it.
Me three.
Dude, you put out like 15,000 videos.
Who?
Who?
You, Nick,
We both said who.
We
He's
both
like
said
you.
who's
Like
you.
the
what?
guy in the black and white. Oh wait, we're all black and
We're
white.
all in black and white. Triv, you gotta be more specific.
The
It
guy,
don't matter if you're black or white.
the dude with the goatee.
Yeah, exactly. We
With
with the goatee and the Twilight Zone
The shirt.
background.
Yeah,
and,
the guy with the shirt and the goatee.
the chair.
Yeah.
exactly.
And the road mic.
It's right.
I don't have a Rode mic.
Oh, okay.
I have one. I'm not using it.
I'm not.
Okay.
I have a Shure mic actually. Thank you very much.
Well, good for you and your ass.
Right. Oh, she said my ass.
Yes.
Anyways, so by the time this episode airs, I think I'll be on the second to last episode of the series that is Snowpiercer. What I'll be reviewing, I don't know because I don't know from day to day what I do and what I don't do. Maybe a speak no evil episode review. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's places and things. Right now, definitely Snowpiercer because I'm going to finish that up, whether I like it or not. Goddamn, be damned. There you go. Anyways, that'll do it. We're heading out. We're going back in the Twilight Zone. We're driving there with Dan Adams, and we're going to have fun and do it with style. So, without further ado, for myself, Triv, Jacob, and myself, we'll see you guys next time in the Twilight Zone. Peace out, motherfuckers.
Ah! These guys have been gabbing about games for the past hour and 10 minutes.
We talked about games for like 3 seconds.
What
Triv.
the hell? Okay, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
3 seconds we talked about it.
it.
Me crazy and I just can't see. I'm so excited. I went too deep.
That's what she said.
We went too deep.